Hello there, boys and girls. Oh, welcome to an insightful episode of Adventures of a Broken Retard. Thank you very much for being here. In life, there are three things that you got to worry about. There's things that you want to do, things that you got to do, and unfortunately, there's things you wish you hadn't have done. And I don't think there's a lot of people that can argue with me about those three things. I think those are pretty much three facts of life. Today, we're going to discuss two of the three. And no, they're not going to be anything to do with things I wish I hadn't done, because you ain't got time for that. Anyway, so things I wish I'd have done, or things I'd like to do, and things I got to do. That's what it is. Things I like to do, things I got to do. Now, what I'd really like to do is I'd like to go out in the garage, and I would like to separate all that stuff out that's got to go out of marketplace secretly. I would very much like to throw it all away, but I can't bring myself to do it. But I want to get that stuff separated, cleaned up, photographed, and listed on the marketplace so I can move on to the next thing. Because moving on to the next thing is taking the wood rack down off the ceiling and putting the garage door motor back up and reopening that door on that side, which is going to make a lot of difference in the air movement in the garage. But I have a pool pump garden that needs dealing with. I haven't been able to get out there and do anything because the weather has been so bad. You know, you guys saw whatever storm it was that came through, and we didn't get anywhere near what other people did. But it was pretty wet for a few days, so it may still be too wet to get out there. I don't know. When I let the dogs out this morning, I looked for standing water. Didn't see any, but I'll get out there and get a look. I'm going to have to work in the pool garden today. And today, what we're going to do, if I can get into it, is we're going to pull the tomato plants out because they're done. And turn it over with a shovel. Turn that half over with a shovel to... Come on. To keep it going as a garden. I got to figure out what else I'm going to plant in there. I hadn't even thought about it yet, to be honest with you. But I need to get out there and get the ground turned and get it ready. So that's my plan for today. Let's move forward and see what we can do. Let's get us out. Oh, Elmer's with me today. You believe that? Forgot he even existed, didn't you? I did. Mostly because he wasn't working, doing nothing. And he was undependable. Yeah, I'm talking about you. And he was undependable. And so I just worked around having it. I just did without. But anyway, let's get out there and see what's up. Hi, Barn. Come here. Come here. Come on, I'll pet you. How are you, Barney boy? Huh? Good boy, Barn. Yeah, you're a good boy. Your house is kind of messy, though, Barn. I got to get the lawn guy out here. Hey, Ed. Ed. Ed, you're a good listener. Hello, Ed. All right. These tomato plants, as you can see, they're not going anywhere. They're done. But look how high they got. This one still has flowers on it, but it's not going to grow anymore. I'm going to lay it on the ground and see how long it is. I brought my trusty tape measure. I see Amy's morning glories are taking over my pepper plants. Get back over there. Look at that. Nice little pepper right there. So how we doing for jalapenos? Well, we ain't doing much for jalapenos, are we? How about this one? There's bugs out here eating my stuff. I need to get out here with some spray. Look at the weeds in there. All right, let's get these tomato plants out. All right, boys and girls, I guess this is as good a time as any to take a minute to look back before we pull these plants out and get a little perspective on what we're looking at right there in this picture. And there we go, boys and girls. 6 little plants ready to grow. Look how much they've grown in the last few days. It's kind of muddy, but I think it'll be okay. But look at this. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? Now, here is the tomato. Look at the tomatoes that are changing color. I think it was 80. I think it was 87 the other day. There's the tomato plants. The weather is very unsettled. A couple tomatoes that are red, probably been eaten on already. No, that one's good. And that, boys and girls, brings us to where we are today. Now, this shot here was taken on the 23rd. It's really hard to measure how tall they are because it doesn't go straight up. It goes around a corner. So I'm going to try to lay it out on the ground and give it a measure. They got measured quite a few times during the time they were planted. And we did get quite a few tomatoes off of them. But let's continue on. All right, let's see what we can do here. Seems to me like it was just a few days ago I was putting them in, and now here I am pulling them out. They were cute little plants when they were planted, weren't they? Those little tiny things. That was pretty cool. All right, let's stretch them out. I'm gonna see about measuring it. All right. Can you see them stretched out there? Let's see. Yeah, we're going to call that 105 inches. To me, 105 inches is long for a tomato plant. But I could be wrong. You never know. I've no idea. Let's get these other ones down. And here we go. Standard procedure gardening work. Taking plants out, getting ready to put plants in. Throwing away what you got to throw away. I pulled the stakes out. Can't save them because they're too old. They're not very good. But they do have to come out, so they're pulled out as well. I don't have a compost pile. Having a compost pile would be a good thing. Sooner or later, I'll end up with one, but I don't have room to put one right at the moment, so it is what it is. Got to get the weeds pulled out of there as well, which is what I'm doing right there. Those white pieces of plastic I stuck in there to stop the dirt from running out underneath that framework. They're not working very well. So I've got to come up with a better solution. But for the moment, they're doing it. This is another situation where I wish it went as quick as it does on the camera, you know, because it goes quick this way. But in reality, that's tedious. That's hot, uncomfortable, tedious work. And I could get in there with a hoe or a rake or whatever, but the garden is so small. There's not a lot of room between the plants. I just soon just get in there and pull it by hand. I mean, like I said, it's not that big. And, I've been thinking about what to put in there. I hadn't given it much thought, in all honesty, but I really like okra and I really like yellow squash, so I'm thinking one of those two, if I recall correctly. those are both fall crops, but in all honesty, I'm gonna have to check because, in all honesty, I really don't remember for sure. Well, before we go running off too far, let's get a look at this quick. You gotta admit, it looks a whole lot better here than it does here. I mean, I think it does anyway. Well, boys and girls, the tomato plants are out and the garden is weeded. And I'm gonna rest a minute or two under the fan, which means I've got to move a little bit. That was hot and tiring. And it ain't much. It's just, you get old. I never knew this was going to happen to me. I was never going to get old. Old people can't do nothing. Ain't no point to get old. I got old. And I found out something. Everything hurts. Started riding motorcycles when I was 9 years old. I rode a lot. Street bikes and off-road. And I feel every single time I fell off that motorcycle. Used to be drive 500 miles a day, 600 miles a day was no big deal. Do it on the bike. Used to ride over to Roger's house on my motorcycle. Roger lived in San Antonio, I lived in Prairieville, 585 miles. No big deal. Jump on the bike and go. Watch the fuel consumption. Took a motorcycle trip in 2009. Covered 5,203 miles. 5,203 miles in 10 days. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that ride. I needed it. Hey, the car's here. Amy's home. Did it just pull in since we've been here, or has it been sitting there? Hey, I didn't even know you were here. I just looked in the camera and saw the car sitting out there and realized you're here. Anyway, I got old. Working out in the sun all day was nothing. Did it all the time. Now I'm out there for an hour. Look at me.
How about a popsicle?
Sure.
How about a pomegranate?
What?
How about a
Pomegranate.
pomegranate?
And we just asked me if I wanted a popsicle. Yes. Coconut or pomegranate. I don't particularly care for coconut. Yep. When we get it back, gotta get back out there in a minute. A little cold sugar buzz will do me some good. Thank you.
It's an Alshine. It's natural. They're delicious.
Thank you. It ain't often I eat popsicles. But this ought to be a nice cold sugar rush. So I can get back out there and shovel. Now, I have to be very careful shoveling because it aggravates my back. And Aggravating my back is bad. They'll put me in bed for 2 weeks. I don't want to be in bed for 2 weeks. I'm committing one of my own cardinal sins. I always said that I would never eat on camera. But it's hot and I'm tired and this is good. Ooh, that's cold. Watch this. Dry shirt feels better. Get out there and turn a few shovel holes because it needs to be done. And I'm just the guy to do it. I'm the only guy who's gonna do it. Time to get back out there. Hello, Ed. How you doing there, bud? The ground in this yard is real hard packed clay. It's very difficult, especially when it's wet. It's difficult to work with because it wants to stick together in a big lump. Trust me, I'm not complaining. I'm glad to have dirt to work with, but it'll take a little while to shovel it and get it loosened up to where it'll be a good garden. Well, boys and girls, that hurt my back. I'll just have to get over it. Still got to walk back out there and pick up the stakes and close the fence. But I figured, seeing as I don't have to go to work until never, I can afford to take a break. How about a little slideshow of the progress or the progression to close out the video? The area was pretty much abandoned. I'd been working, hadn't had time to do it. Got the plants in the ground. Didn't even have all the license plates up yet there. Got the stakes in. You can tell it's earlier in the year because things are a little browner, I guess. They're not as green. But the plants are growing. Those tomato plants just took off like crazy. They really grew like mad. Got the rest of the plates up. Gotten rid of that hose since too, I think. Those little tomatoes are pretty, ain't they? Doesn't that make you want some more? I want to run out and plant some more plants right away. Thank you so much to everyone for being here. Thank you for staying through the video. I really, really do appreciate everybody watching, everybody hanging out. Again, the comments are fantastic. Barney and Ed love you. Elmer says he'll do better if you promise to watch. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I thank you.